69 teams to go on my road to predict all 131 teams this college football offseason. And we're now on to the USC Trojans. And if you are someone out there that likes to rank winners and losers of the offseason, this team better be pretty high on your list of winners, if not the top team. They went out and got Lincoln Riley to be the head coach, one of the best offensive minds in college football, to an offense that was already pretty solid last year. Alex Grinch coming in to try to coach that defense, and probably the biggest winner of the transfer portal this offseason. This USC team, with all they've brought in, now is going to have pretty high expectations, or at least they're supposed to be a lot better than years past. So can USC get back to the ranks of being a national contender, or will USC need some time under new head man Lincoln Riley? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason. Guys, that means I'm doing your favorite teams. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, so you know when that video gets uploaded. And the fans of the USC Trojans out there, you guys are going to know this team a lot more than I do. So if you feel like I missed something, want to add something, anything of the sort, leave it in the comment section down below. I'll be happy to see what you guys have to say. So let's look at USC in 2022. This is my second-ranked team in the Pac-12 coming into the 2022 season. You might say, well, Nate, why? They clearly weren't very good last year. They were 4-8 and 3-6 in conference. It was just not a good year. So they ended up firing Clay Helton. Now they bring in Lincoln Riley to be that head coach. This is this is definitely a team that is going over a lot of overhaul right now. But when you look at this team a season ago, the offense, by yards per game metrics, was the best in the entire conference with almost 450 yards per game on the offensive end. Now, scoring was not where it should have been, though, only around 29 points per game. But the big question marks come on the defensive side of the ball for this USC team. And I think most USC fans or people that are close to this organization or close to this program know that. They had 409 yards allowed last year with almost 32 points per game allowed. Just things that cannot happen at USC, especially defensively. So if you're going to look, defense is kind of where this program needs to shift its focus, right? This is a program that needs work defensively, and we all know that Lincoln Riley is coming in. But how about that defensive coordinator, right? Alex Grinch going to be that defensive coordinator. That's going to be very, very interesting to kind of see how this defense progresses this year. But before we get into players coming in and all the transfers that are coming in, we got to talk about players that are leaving. So Kedon Slovis and Jackson Dart were the two top quarterbacks from a season ago, and they have both transferred to other programs. Kedon Slovis, 2,153 yards, 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And then Jackson Dart, 1,353 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 5 picks. Slovis over to Pitt, Dart over to Ole Miss. Running back Keontae Ingram, the former Texas transfer, is gone. 911 yards and 5 touchdowns a season ago for him. You're also losing top wide receiver Drake London, had 1,084 yards and 7 touchdowns a season ago. Also, Brew McCoy, gone as well. Eric Croman-Hoke is a tight end that is leaving this program as well, had 137 yards and a touchdown a season ago, as well as Michael Trigg, following Jackson Dart, I believe, over to Ole Miss. But I do know he transferred out of the program. When you look at the defensive side of things, Jacob Lichtenstein, he had 4 sacks along with 28 tackles a season ago. Drake Jackson, the linebacker, 5 sacks, 37 tackles a season ago. Kanai Malga had 92 tackles and a sack. The 92 tackles led the team. So you lose his production as well as guys like Hunter Echols and Raymond Scott are gone as well. When you look at the defensive back side of things, lots of talent gone there. Isaiah Polamau, Chris Steele, Chase Williams, Isaac Taylor Stewart, among some other names you could throw on this board for either offense or defense. But again, like I said in my intro, if you want to talk about winning the transfer portal, I mean, look right here. Quarterback Caleb Williams follows his old head coach Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma over to USC, and he was very dynamic for the Sooners last year, and a lot of college football fans and USC fans feel he can be as dynamic in a Trojan uniform, and I think that as well. So Caleb Williams projecting to have a big year staying with Lincoln Riley, only at a different program. They're also getting Travis Dye, a running back over from Oregon, should be that number 1 back coming in. That is a very, very good addition for the USC Trojans. And then they have Taj Washington, Gary Bryant, and Kyle Ford coming back on this wide receiver core. But when you look at the wide receivers that they have coming in, my word, Mario Williams over from Oklahoma, Brendan Rice over from Colorado, Terrell Bynum, I believe, over from Washington. They added all those guys, and they figured, well, just for good measure, let's add the Biletnikoff winner from a season ago in Jordan Addison, the transfer over from Pitt. I mean, this definitely it could be up there, if not the top receiving room in the entire nation. It could very well prove to be that way at the end of the season. This is a very, very deep wide receiver room that has so much talent on it. It's ridiculous. But again, the big question marks are on the defensive end. I am going to butcher half of these names, so I apologize to USC fans everywhere. Tui Pulotu, 48 tackles, 5.5 sacks. The sack yards led the team. He is coming back along with a couple other defensive linemen there as well. Shane Lee is a transfer coming in, as well as a guy like Eric Gentry and Romello Height. Eric Gentry not on the board, but it's a transfer from Arizona State. Romello Height, another transfer coming in. But you also have Raylan Goforth coming back for this team. He was the second leading tackler with 60 tackles a season ago. And then in the defensive back groupings, you have Kalen Bullock coming back, Mekhi Blackman, who's a transfer in there, and then Xavier Alford. That should be an X, not a Z. I apologize for the typo there. But Alford led the team with 3 picks last year, so you get that production back. This is a defense that, again, under defensive coordinator Alex Grinch, should probably get better. But again, we're going to have to wait to see until this team gets out on the football field. We know the offense is going to be good. The question marks are on the defensive end. As we look now to the USC schedule, you got Rice, Fresno State, and Notre Dame in non-conference play. There are a couple tricky ones there. Fresno State, yes, they're losing their head coach, but they return a lot of talent. And Notre Dame at the end of the year, while they have a lot of questions, that's still going to be a top 10 Irish team coming into this season. When you look at Pac-12 play, you got games on the road against Stanford, Oregon State, Utah, Arizona, and UCLA. And then you got games at home against Arizona State, Washington State, Cal, and Colorado. So let's go ahead and look at what USC schedule looks like in 2022. You've seen it up there. I'm going to talk about it. You get Rice to open the season, and as per a rule on another college football show, don't lose to food. So there you go. But USC should be able to take care of Rice, no problem. Fresno State. This team pulled off an upset last year against UCLA. They can pull off an upset again this year, even though Kalen DeBoer is gone over to Washington, who USC doesn't have to play this year. But Fresno State still returning Jay Kaner, Jalen Cropper, lots of other talent coming back. That's still going to be a good football team in 2022. Same thing with Notre Dame at the end of the year. They're bringing in a new head coach. Well, a guy that's been there for a long time got promoted to be that head coach in Marcus Freeman. Bringing him in, we'll see how he kind of fits the system, but there's a lot of questions with Notre Dame. How does the quarterback play work? We know Michael Mayer's at tight end, but who else steps up in the wide receiver department? Brandon Joseph is a transfer coming in. How does he improve the defense? There's a lot of questions about this Notre Dame team that I think for the most part are going to get figured out before they play on November 26th. Should be a more interesting game to watch. And then in conference play, when you look at their home games here, there's nothing really too challenging. Arizona State, that's kind of a dumpster fire right now, but who knows? Who knows what Arizona State looks like in 2022? Your guess is as good as mine. Washington State, hey, that's probably your toughest home game right there. A sleeper team, toughest home game in conference play, I'll say that. Washington State, potential sleeper team in the Pac-12, bringing in Cameron Ward from Incarnate Word. Definitely going to be an interesting team to watch. And then Cal, Colorado, games that they should be able to win. But their road schedule in the Pac-12, yeesh. I mean, on the road against Arizona, yeah, okay. On the road against Oregon State, I mean, that's a team that's improving, but still, give me something more. On the road against Stanford could be a tricky one. That's an NFL caliber quarterback that if especially USC defense isn't ready to play, could be a closer game than a lot of people think. On the road against Utah, on the road against UCLA are also just going to be two hard games for USC that are on the schedules. Utah, UCLA could prove to be top 5, if not top 3 teams in the Pac-12 by the end of the year. I don't do game-by-game predictions. I do more percentage-based. Alex help me predict the team's record. So if the game is in red, you're probably not going to win the game. If the game's in orange, you're still probably not going to win. But hey, it's college football and upsets can happen. Yellow are your 50-50, your high upset potential games. Games in yellow, green are games that you should win. But you got to watch out for teams on the other side of the ball, and games in green are games that I have you winning. That Arizona State game, I'm just seeing that now, should be in yellow-green. So imagine that Arizona State game is in yellow-green. I apologize for that. But otherwise, games in green that I meant to have in green. Rice, again, you shouldn't ever lose to food. So should be able to beat Rice. Arizona and Colorado there as well, I think, are going to be 3 pretty simple wins for this USC team with how much, especially offensive talent, is here. When you look at all the games in yellow-green, though, Cal, I think that's going to be a little bit of a tricky team to kind of figure out this year. Jack Plummer coming in at quarterback. I think he can be pretty solid for this team, but I think USC should be able to win there. Again, watch out for Fresno State. That's a team with a lot of talent coming back. Arizona State, who knows what they're going to look like in 2022. Could be really good, could be really bad. So that's kind of a fringe yellow-green game for me, although should be in yellow-green on the schedule. Oregon State, that's a team that keeps getting better. Watch out for them on the road. Washington State, Pac-12 sleeper. Again, they can put up some offensive numbers with the roster they have this year. And then Stanford with Tanner McKee at quarterback, the NFL talent, going on the road for Stanford in week 2. I think they should be able to get the win. It's probably going to be an offensive shootout type game, especially if Tanner McKee can get that Stanford offense rolling. But the USC defense has to come ready to play because that Stanford team could put up some points. But the 3 interesting games on the schedule: on the road against Utah, on the road against UCLA, and at home against Notre Dame. On the road against Utah, that's probably going to end up being the Pac-12 favorite this year. Some people may even have them in their college football playoff bracket. And it's a Utah team that returns quite a bit, and a lot of exciting players are coming back for that Utah team. They still figure to be really, really good. On the road against UCLA there as well. That's a tough game. UCLA, a team that showed last year they can score a lot of points, and they very well could also prove to have a better offense this year than they did last year. That could be an offensive shootout type game in the Rose Bowl. And then at home against Notre Dame, again, the Irish figure to be a top 10 program in 2022. When you take a look at this USC team, we know the offensive talent is there. The question marks come on the defensive end. And while I think this defense is going to improve, I don't know that it necessarily improves enough in year 1 for this USC team to kind of get back truly on top of the Pac-12. I got the Trojans at 10-2 in Lincoln Riley's first year here, which I think is a very, very solid achievement. I think you drop a couple games. Again, your road schedule here in the Pac-12 is a little tricky. Again, Utah, UCLA, just hard games on the road. But then Stanford, Oregon State, watch out for those games on the road. You got to play Notre Dame at home at the end of the year. Fresno State's still a tricky team, as is Washington State. But with the talent that is here, if USC, especially that defense, can take some steps up, they can go 12-0. They can be on top of the Pac-12. And this is absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, a contender for the college football playoff. But that's going to do it for my prediction on USC, guys. I got them going 10-2. I don't see this team going any lower than 8-4. Too much offensive talent, especially with a coach as good as Lincoln Riley. Please be sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe. Anything you can help support the channel does mean a lot to me. And remember to play hard, but tailgate hard. I will see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.